think of our school systems. Our school systems now have many more administrators than they did, say, 40, 50 years ago when I was a kid, because they get money from the federal government, but they have to comply with state and primarily federal law and regulation, which requires many, many different administrators, accountants, in order to understand how they can spend the money that they got from the federal government and to spend it correctly. And the state, the local school is going to spend a lot of money on compliance because they want those millions of federal dollars to keep flowing. So at any rate, that's what's happened to I think to our country, is the federal government's power has grown because they hold the purse strings and they particularly pull the strings. And if we could pull some of the money out of the federal government, perhaps we could have a little bit more freedom at the state and local level.
And just for simplicity's sake, for someone like me not too long ago, that money is coming, because you'll say it comes from the government. The government gives us money, but that money comes from taxes.
And that money comes from taxes, from all sorts of different endless array of taxes. When that tax money goes into D.C., before it gets back to us here in eastern Colorado, it has to go through many, many different levels. And it's just like in the military. If you have a higher headquarters, and the higher headquarters say is given $1,000 for a mission, and then they're going to give some money to subordinate units, they always keep some extra for themselves, because the higher headquarters at every level always thinks that it needs more money than what it has, and gives less and less to the lower level units. So by the time you send $1 billion in taxes to the DC, once it gets back out here to Colorado, I don't know what's left. Depends on the item, but it could be 60%, because it all got sucked up by bureaucrats somewhere between Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado Springs. Finally, out here you get a little bit, and you don't get the full amount that went into D.C., because at every level, you had to have administrators figure out who got what, for what reason, and do they get this? Do we need to investigate them? We have to prevent fraud, waste, abuse, etc., and it all costs money.
And I again, putting myself on the chop, had no idea, until a time ago when I started paying attention, that we're gonna provide this bill which will help education. And I feel like sometimes the announcement is more of, this is our intention, but we don't tell you how that actually works. And I feel like it's the citizens' responsibility to figure out how this works. I put that on me as well as anybody else, but that's why I say it's our fault if we let things get so out of place, because we don't know, because I don't know. Fiscal
part of it is our fault because we keep voting for more law coming out of Washington, D.C., because we always think, we need a law, or we think Washington, D.C. can fix everything, and we've almost made Washington, D.C. into our God. But Washington, D.C. cannot fix everything, because the people in Washington, D.C. are just like you and me. They're people trying to do their best. But if you are in Washington, D.C., that doesn't really make you smarter than somebody in Peoria or somebody in Falcon, Colorado. I was 3 years at the Pentagon working at the Army IG's office, and instantly that made me smarter than all the other guys in the Army, but really I wasn't. I was the same guy. Yet I was calling up, doing investigations on general officers and senior officials, because of the position I was in, but it didn't really make me that much smarter, that much more moral, that much more professional than other officers that were out in the field.
Yeah.